The chandeliers scattered light across the marble floor like scattered diamonds. Crystal glasses clinked. Silk rustled. Laughter rippled through the Napa Valley estate, where Celeste Morgan married her perfect doctor, beneath roses and violins. Clara Morgan sat alone at the edge of it all. Navy dress quiet against the opulence, wine glass gripped too tight. Poor Clara, someone whispered nearby. Still single? Must be torture watching her twin have everything. The words slid over her like cold water. She had stopped fighting them years ago. Celeste shone. Clara disappeared. That was the script, and nothing she created in her San Francisco studio could rewrite it. She checked her phone. 8 o'clock. Too early to leave without questions, the scent hit her first. Sharp cologne. Expensive. Authority wrapped in leather and spice. She looked up the man standing beside. Her table made the room pause, mid-breath tall, dark suit cut like a weapon. Gray eyes that seemed to calculate everything and reveal nothing. Heads turned. Whispers started before he even moved. He sat down in the empty chair beside her as though he owned it. Clara blinked. "Excuse me, that seat is pretend you're with me." His voice was low, smooth, absolute. It brushed her ear and made her pulse stutter. What? They're staring. His gaze never left the crowd across the room. Let them believe something different tonight. He'd flooded her cheeks. Around them, the whispers erupted. Recognition spread like wildfire. Is that Damian Hail? The billionaire. Why is he sitting with Clara Morgan? Clara's breath caught. Damian Hail, the man who built empires in artificial intelligence. The ghost who never attended weddings, and he was sitting beside her. Why me? She whispered. His lips curved, barely. Because you looked like you needed saving as much as I did. Before she could respond, he lifted her glass, refilled it with wine, leaned closer. Every movement deliberate, intimate. The crowd watched, transfixed. Don't look so alarmed, he murmured. Pretend you know me. Pretend you're not alone. Something inside her cracked. Relief, anger, confusion, and what do you get out of this? He finally turned those gray eyes fully on her. The impact stole her breath. Distraction. There are people here arranging things I don't want. You save me. I save you. She should refuse. She should stand up and walk away. Instead, she gave the smallest nod. Damian stood, extended his hand. Dance with me. I don't dance. You do tonight. His tone left no room for argument. Clara placed her hand in his. The ballroom floor opened before them. Violins swelled into a waltz. His hand settled at her waist, steady and warm, guiding her into movement. She stumbled at first, clumsy, terrified. Relax, he whispered against her ear. Let them see what they want to see. The world blurred. His gray eyes anchored her. His hand at her back controlled every turn. Slowly, impossibly, she began to follow. The music lifted them both. Around them, the crowd no longer whispered pity. They whispered awe. When the song ended, Damian didn't release her immediately. He leaned close, his lips brushing her ear. See you soon, Clara Morgan. Then he was gone. Walking through the parted crowd like water, leaving her breathless in the center of the floor, her heart pounded against her ribs. How did he know her name? 3 days later, a black car idled outside Clara's studio. She froze at the window, brush in hand, half-finished mood board, forgotten. The driver stepped out, opened the rear door. Damian Hail emerged into the San Francisco fog like something out of a fever dream. He wore a charcoal suit, no tie, top button undone. Casual in a way that costs more than most people's rent. Clara's pulse jumped. She set down the brush, wiped her hands on her jeans, tried to steady her breathing. The knock came soft but certain. She opened the door. His gray eyes found hers immediately. You know where I work? You know everything I need to know. Clara Morgan. He stepped inside without invitation, glancing around her studio. Paint-splattered floors, fabric samples pinned to corkboards, sketches scattered across her desk. You're talented. You didn't come here to compliment my work. No. He turned to face her fully. I came to make you an offer. Her stomach twisted. I'm not interested in whatever game you're playing. It's not a game. His voice dropped, rough at the edges. I need someone beside me for the next 6 months. Public events, galas, board meetings. A companion who won't ask questions or expect more than what's agreed. Clara laughed, sharp and bitter. You want to hire me? Like an escort? I want to hire you as my partner. Fake. Visible. Convincing. He stepped closer. Too close. His presence swallowed the small space. In return, I'll fund your design firm. Connections, clients, everything you've been building. Alone will have the weight of my name behind it. Her breath caught. Why me? You could have anyone, because you understand what it's like to be invisible. You won't expect love. You won't demand what I can't give. The honesty cut through her. Brutal and strangely kind. And if I say no, then I walk away. And you stay here, talented and overlooked, while your sister's shadow grows longer. Clara's jaw tightened. He knew exactly where to press. 6 months, she said slowly. And then we part ways. Clean, professional. You keep everything I've given you. She should refuse. Every instinct screamed it. But the thought of her own gallery, her own name, her own life outside Celeste's orbit burned too bright to ignore. I want it in writing. Damian pulled a folded contract from his jacket. Already done. She took it, scanned the terms. Compensation, boundaries, exit clauses. Everything clinical, controlled. Plan this before you even sat down at that wedding. I researched my investments. I'm not an investment. No. His gaze softened just slightly. You're a gamble. Clara signed. Damian took the contract, folded it back into his jacket. Then he held out his hand. Welcome to the performance, Clara. She shook it. His grip was firm, warm, grounding. When do we start? Tonight? There's a gala at 7. I'll send a car and a dress. He moved toward the door, paused at the threshold. Wear your hair down. Smile like you're dangerous. And don't let anyone make you feel small. The door closed behind him. Clara stood in the silence of her studio, heart hammering, contract signed. Life irrevocably changed. That night, the dress arrived. Midnight blue, silk that pooled like water, a neckline that whispered danger. She stared at herself in the mirror. Hair loose over bare shoulders, lips painted dark, eyes steady. For the first time in her life, she didn't look like Celeste's shadow. She looked like someone who could burn the world down. The car came at 6:30. Damian waited inside, flawless in a tuxedo, champagne in hand. He looked her over slowly. Something flickered in his eyes. Heat. Approval. Something else he buried too quickly. Perfect. The gala was a blur of chandeliers and power. Old money. New empires. Politicians and tech moguls circling like sharks. Damian kept his hand at the small of her back, possessive and careful. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered, "Who is she?" Clara Morgan. The interior designer, Damian Hail's new companion. She smiled through it all, sharp and unbreakable, until she saw her Celeste standing near the bar, arm linked with her doctor husband. Eyes wide with shock, Clara's stomach dropped. Celeste crossed the room, smile bright and false. "Clara, what are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing." "James was invited. We didn't expect to see you." Celeste's gaze slid to Damian, curiosity burning. "And you brought someone." Damian extended his hand. Damian Hail. Celeste's breath caught. Recognition. Envy. She shook his hand, held it too long. "Of course. The billionaire. I didn't realize you and Clara were together." Damian's arm slid around Clara's waist, claiming, "Final. Very much together." Celeste's smile cracked at the edges. Clara felt the power shift. For once she wasn't the shadow, but as Celeste walked away, something cold settled in Clara's chest. This wasn't freedom. This was war. 2 months in, and the lines blurred. Clara stood in Damian's penthouse, Floor 2 ceiling windows overlooking the city, his jacket draped over her shoulders. They had just returned from another gala. Another performance. Another night of his hand at her waist, his voice low in her ear. His presence burning through every careful wall she had built. "You were good tonight," he said, pouring whiskey into 2 glasses. "I'm always good." She took the glass he offered. "That's what you pay me for?" His jaw tightened. "Is that all this is to you? A transaction? Isn't that what you wanted?" Silence stretched between them, sharp and fragile. Damian set down his glass, stepped closer. His gray eyes darker now, storm clouds gathering. It was, in the beginning, Clara's breath hitched. And now I don't know what the hell this is. His confession cracked something open inside her. She had felt it too. The way his touch lingered. The way his gaze found hers across crowded rooms. The way they talked past midnight on his terrace, pretense forgotten, walls crumbling. "We can, I know." His hand lifted. Fingers brushing her jaw. Gentle, dangerous. "I'm tired of pretending. I don't want this. This wasn't part of the contract. To hell with the contract." He kissed her, slow, deep, like drowning and breathing at the same time. Clara's glass slipped from her hand, forgotten as she pulled him closer. His hands tangled in her hair. Her back hit the window. Cold glass. Hot skin. Everything she had denied herself for 2 months burning through in a single moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Clara's heart hammered against her ribs. "This changes everything," she whispered. "I know." But the next morning, everything shattered. Clara woke alone in Damian's bed, sunlight cutting through the windows. She reached for her phone, saw 17 missed calls from Celeste. Dread pooled in her stomach. She opened the messages. The first was a news article. Damian Hail's secret acquisition. Morgan Design Studio purchased 3 months ago. Clara's blood turned to ice. She scrolled down. More articles. Financial records. Documents showing that Damian hadn't just funded her studio, he had bought it, owned it, controlled every client, every contract, every piece of her supposed independence. 3 months ago, before the wedding, before he sat down beside her, before any of this began, the bedroom door opened. Damian stood there, shirt unbuttoned, coffee in hand. He saw her face and went still. "Clara, you bought my studio." Her voice shook. 3 months before you ever met me." He set down the coffee. "I can explain. You researched me, purchased my business, and then showed up at that wedding like some kind of savior." Tears burned her eyes, hot and furious. "This was never about saving me. I was already yours. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Damian? Tell me." She threw the phone at him. He caught it without flinching. "You made me think I had a choice. You made me believe I was building something real. But it was all you, controlling everything. Just like everyone else, I needed leverage." His voice turned hard, cold, the walls slamming back up. "Yes, I bought your studio. Yes, I planned to approach you. But the rest, Clara, the rest was real. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? Because I'm telling you the truth now. Now. After I find out from the tabloids." Damian's jaw clenched. "I was going to tell you when, after 6 months, after you disappeared with my entire career in your pocket, I'm not keeping your career. It's yours. I signed it over this morning." He pulled papers from his jacket. Transfer documents. Her name. Full ownership. Legal and binding. Clara stared at them, hands shaking. "Why?" "Because somewhere between the contract and last night, I stopped pretending." His voice cracked, raw and unguarded. "And I can't keep you trapped in something I built to control. You should have told me from the beginning. I should have." He stepped closer, eyes desperate. "But I'm telling you now. Everything I have, Clara, every secret, every scar. It's yours if you want it. I don't know if I can trust you. Don't. But don't walk away without knowing this." He cupped her face, thumbs brushing away tears she hadn't realized were falling. "I love you. And I will spend every day proving that you were never just part of a plan. You were the variable I never saw coming. Clara's heart split open. Love and fury and hope all bleeding together. I need time. Take all the time you need. She pulled away, grabbed her things, walked out of the penthouse without looking back. But as the elevator descended, one thought consumed her. She loved him too, and that terrified her more than anything. Clara spent 3 weeks drowning in her studio. Paint and fabric and silence. No calls, no galas, no Damian. Just the hollow ache of missing someone who had lied to her and loved her in equal measure. Then Celeste showed up. She walked in without knocking, designer heels clicking on the paint-stained floor. Expression tight with something Clara couldn't name. We need to talk. Clara set down her brush. About what? How you've been feeding stories to the tabloids about me and Damian. Celeste flinched. Don't lie to me. I know it was you. Clara's voice stayed steady, cold. You couldn't stand that I finally had something you didn't. That's not fair? Fair? Clara laughed, bitter. Nothing about us has ever been fair, Celeste. I've spent my entire life being compared to you, measured against you, found lacking, and the one time I step out of your shadow, you try to destroy it. Celeste's eyes glistened. I was jealous. Okay. I saw you with him, and for the first time you looked happy, radiant, like you didn't need me anymore. Her voice cracked, and I hated it. Because I've always needed you, Clara, even when I didn't show it. The confession hung between them, raw and fragile. You have a funny way of showing love, I know. Celeste stepped closer. But I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to warn you. Clara's stomach dropped. About what? Damian Hail is in trouble. Real trouble? Celeste pulled out her phone, showed Clara a private message. Financial documents. Legal threats. James heard it from a colleague. Damian's company is being investigated for fraud. Insider trading. If it goes public, he'll lose everything. His empire. His reputation, and anyone associated with him will be dragged down too. Clara's hands went numb. That's impossible. Damian would never. It doesn't matter if he did it or not. The accusation alone will destroy him. Celeste's gaze softened. I know you love him, Clara. I can see it. But if you stay, you'll lose everything you've built. Your studio. Your name. Everything. Why are you telling me this? Because you're my sister. Celeste's voice broke. And I've already hurt you enough. Clara stared at the documents, mind racing. If she walked away now, she could protect herself. Keep her business. Stay safe. But Damian would face it alone. She thought of his gray eyes. His rough honesty. The way he had looked at her in the penthouse, walls shattered, heart exposed. I'm not leaving him. Clara, don't be stupid. I'm not. Clara grabbed her jacket. For once in my life, I'm choosing something that matters more than safety. She was out the door before Celeste could argue. Damian's penthouse was dark when she arrived. She used the key he had given her months ago, stepped inside, found him on the terrace, whiskey in hand, shoulders hunched, defeated in a way she had never seen Damian. He turned. Shock flickered across his face. Clara, you shouldn't be here. I know about the investigation. His jaw tightened. Then you know you need to leave now, before it touches you. I'm not leaving. Clara, stop. She crossed to him, took the glass from his hand. I know what staying costs. I know what it could destroy. But I also know what it means to love someone enough to face the fire with them. His eyes glistened. You'll lose everything. So will you. But we'll lose it together. I can't ask that of you. You're not asking. I'm choosing. She took his face in her hands, fierce and certain. You gave me a choice once, Damian. A terrible, manipulative, beautiful choice. Now, I'm giving you one. Let me stay. Let me fight beside you. Or push me away and face this alone. Damian's control shattered. He pulled her against him, buried his face in her hair, held her like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. I don't deserve you. Probably not. She pulled back, met his gaze. But you're stuck with me anyway. He kissed her, desperate, grateful, like she was oxygen and he had been drowning. "We'll figure this out," Clara whispered against his lips. "Together, together." But the next morning, the news broke. Damian Hail, arrested, fraud investigation escalates. And standing in the photograph beside the headline was someone Clara never expected to see. Her own father, the man who had abandoned their family years ago, the man who had built a rival tech company in silence, the man orchestrating Damian's destruction. Clara stood in the cold interrogation room, staring at the man she hadn't seen in 15 years. Robert Morgan looked older, grayer, but his eyes held the same calculating gleam that had driven him to abandon his wife and daughters for ambition. Low. "Clara, don't." Her voice cut like glass. "You don't get to pretend this is a reunion." "Not pretending anything." He leaned back in his chair, casual, confident. "I'm offering you a way out." "Out of what?" "This mess with Damian Hail." Robert slid a folder across the table. "Testify that he coerced you into the relationship, that he manipulated you, that you knew nothing about his financial dealings. You walk away clean. He takes the fall alone." Clara's hands trembled. "You framed him, built a case against a man who thought he was untouchable. Why? What did Damian ever do to you?" "He existed." Robert's smile turned cold. "In my space, in my industry, building an empire that should have been mine. So I took it apart, piece by piece. The fraud allegations, the insider trading, all carefully constructed, all perfectly legal. You destroyed an innocent man. I eliminated competition." He tapped the folder. "And I'm giving you a chance to salvage your life. Take it, or burn with him." Clara looked at the folder. Freedom, safety, everything she had wanted before Damian walked into her life. Then she thought of his gray, his broken honesty, the way he had held her on that terrace like she was the only thing that mattered. She pushed the folder back. "Go to hell."
Ow.
Robert's expression darkened. "You're making a mistake." "No, I'm making a choice." Clara stood. "You taught me what it looks like to abandon the people you love for power. Damian taught me what it looks like to fight for them. I know which one I want to be." She walked out. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Clara testified. Not against Damian, for him. She brought evidence, witnesses, every piece of her father's carefully constructed lie, dismantled with the same precision he had used to build it. Celeste testified too, surprising everyone. She brought financial records from James's colleague, proof of Robert's manipulation, proof of his vendetta. In the end, the charges were dropped. Robert Morgan was arrested, and Damian Hail walked free. But freedom came with scars. Clara found Damian on the courthouse steps. Exhausted, his suit rumpled, his walls still half raised. "You didn't have to do that?" he said quietly. "Yes, I did. You could have walked away. Built a life without this chaos. I could have." She stepped closer, took his hand. "But I didn't want a life without you in it." Damian pulled her against him, buried his face in her hair, held her like he would never let go.
"I love you, Clara Morgan."
Messy, complicated, terrifying love. "I love you too, Damian Hail," scars and all. They stood there in the fading sunlight, two broken people who had found each other in the wreckage. Not perfect, not healed. But together, 6 months later, Clara stood in her gallery. Her name on the door, her designs on the walls, her life, finally, wholly hers. Damian walked in, coffee in hand, that rare smile softening his sharp features. Impressive. "I had good funding." She took the coffee, kissed him slowly. "And an even better partner? Fake or real?" "Real. Always real." He pulled her close, and in that moment, surrounded by the beauty she had created and the man she had chosen, Clara finally understood. She had never been the forgotten twin. She had been the one waiting to be seen. And Damian Hail had taught her to see herself. Outside, the city glittered. Inside, Two scarred souls built something new from the ashes of their pasts. Not a fairy tale, not perfection, but love. Raw and unbreakable, and that was enough. The end.